Alright, so this is Big Andy with Saberform, and I'm here showing you the second half of how to install the sound card from a Qui-Gon Ultimate FX into any saber of your choosing, using parts from Ultra Sabers, of course. Alright, so as I last showed you from the previous video, the sound card, this is still in the on position. And you'll have to forgive me, I have a little bit of a stuffy nose at the moment, so I may sound a little funnier than I did last time on camera. Just bear with me. Alright, so something I like to do is take a little bit of electrical tape and wrap this piece right here in electrical tape to protect the soundboard itself. You don't need to do it, but it's something that I like to do just as a better do it and not need it than need it and not have done it type of thing. But like I said before, make sure that that thing is in the on position, not the little demo position that they have it in the stores, or the opposition. Otherwise it ain't going to come on for you. Alright, now the power pack, the 4 AAA power pack from Ultras, has the two wires for the speaker and the 2 wires for the power. The battery wire, the red will go to this one here that comes off of this, and the black one for the power will come to the black wire right on the soundboard. And then the 2 speaker wires are going to go connect to these 2 green ones. Solder gun, and of course the solder. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and wire the power up now. And you'll have to forgive me if this video ends up being as long as 20 minutes. I will do my best to keep it as short as I can, but wiring isn't exactly a 3-minute little task like taking the Qui-Gon Saber apart is. Hence why I couldn't make this into one video, but had to do this as a second half. Alright, so if you've ever soldered before, then great, don't have to show you, but for those that haven't, when the gun gets hot, the solder will melt on this here, and you just use that and cover the wires in this solder, and when it cools, the wires will not come apart, in theory. I've never had them come apart, and they're not supposed to come apart, but I suppose if you are a little too violent or don't do the best job of soldering, it could happen. But it's not a problem I've ever had. Just get a good coat of solder on the wire. Good to go. Then, oh, I almost forgot. Shoot. Shrink tube. I have to resolder that now. Just goes to show how easy it is to forget what you're doing. Alright, and what I just did there is I stripped some of the rubber coating over the wire off without cutting off the wire. Something that was really difficult for me when I was first starting out, but you get better with practice, and it still isn't the most easy thing to do, but you do get better with practice. Alright, now let's do that again, but proper. Take the shrink tube and slide the wire through it, then wire it together. And I'll show you why in a minute. Twist the wires together and solder it again. This time do it right. Alright, now that I've got it soldered properly and have the shrink tube on there, take your wires and make it straight as if it was one, and slide the shrink tube over where you soldered it. Now you can use a lighter or anything that generates heat, including the exhaust of the little gun thing here, solder gun, but by putting the heat to the shrink tube, it causes the rubber shrink tube to shrink down and hold it in place. I'm using a lighter because that seems to not be going quite as fast as I would like. Hot. Do be careful to not burn yourselves. I have many scars from this. Alright, one down, many to go. Next up, we'll do the power for the black wire. And I'm not going to forget the shrink tube this time. Slide shrink tube over the wire. Take the two wires together. I don't know if I showed that very well or not. Hold them like so. Twist them together until you got them nice and tight and they're not going anywhere. Solder away. If you let the gun sit too long while not on, depending on the kind of gun you have, this one, if you let it sit while it's not on, it will eventually cool down and you may have to wait for it to heat back up again. Not really a big deal unless you're a completely impatient person or whatnot. Where did I put it? There it is. And I'll show you my workstation real quick on my table here. As you can see, I've got parts strewn all over the table. So, yeah, sometimes it's easy to lose one little thing that you're looking for in your workstation. I know different people have different ways that different places they work. Some people do a garage, other people just kind of do it in the floor of their room. I like to use the kitchen table because it's big, so I have lots of space. I don't have my own works bench or anything in the garage, otherwise I would use that. But it gives me good space. And forgive me, but I do tend to ramble sometimes, so just bear with me on that. Alright. Oh, I'm going to show you real quick before I wire up the speakers. This was the switch, if you remember from the previous video. We'll cut that off in a minute, but for now we're going to leave that on. And as you can hear, my phone is ringing in the background. I'm just going to ignore that though, because it's not for me. Alright. Now, I'm going to put some batteries. Yeah, my old man's a washer and dryer fixer guy, hence the message. Anyways, I'm going to put some batteries in the power pack. First and foremost is a test to make sure that I wired everything up right, so that when I touch the sound card, or the sound wires together, I should hear sound, now that it is on. Yeah, so you can faintly hear it. That means I've got the wrong wire going to the wrong wire. Because, yeah, it's all crackly and whatnot. Alright, so by testing it for the more clear sound, you know which wire goes to which wire. Because unfortunately they're both green, it doesn't tell you which one's the positive and which one's the negative. So you just kind of got to touch them together to figure that out. Alright, so by doing that, I know that this wire goes to the red one. So I'm not going to forget that, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it off to the side here underneath the speaker so I remember which wire goes to the red. Then I don't have to test it again.